This is Not My Own. I'm Tiaira, and today I'm going to be talking about faith. What is faith? Now, the law of faith requires a person, and we can't put faith in things. We cannot put faith in systems, but the law of faith requires a person. And not only does it require a person, it requires 3 steps, right? So knowledge or experience with that person, a decision about the knowledge or experience with that person, and action. The law of faith is like a mathematical equation in the spiritual realm. 1 + 1 = 2. So when you apply these steps, it's always going to produce an outcome. It's always going to produce action. And if it doesn't, we already know what that means. It's dead. In this video, we're going to go over some examples by looking in the scripture, Old Testament and New Testament. We're going to look at what it means to have little faith and then great faith. We have instances in the Bible where Jesus says someone has little faith or they have great faith. So let's look at the Old Testament with Abraham. God told Abraham to sacrifice his one and only son, Isaac, and Abraham believed God. Let's look at scripture. So in Hebrews 11, it says this, verse 17, by faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced the promises was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God had said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead. And so in a matter of speaking, he did receive Isaac back from death. So the law of faith, let's look at it. The 3 things I mentioned that is required when it comes to the law of faith: a person, knowledge or experience with that person, a decision about that knowledge, experience with that person, and then action. Okay, so Abraham understood that God is not a man that he should lie. God is not a liar. If I kill my son, it will be impossible. It will be impossible for my offspring to be reckoned. Wait, but God is not a liar. He's telling me to kill my son. I know that it's still going to come to pass. And so therefore, the impossible can happen with God. He can raise the dead. He can resurrect the dead. 2 things. Think about it. Think about how much that's testifying to Abraham's faith in God. That takes knowledge of God. That takes understanding. To know God. To know God. That is where his faith is coming from. The knowledge of God. So faith always produces action. Does that mean it's always going to be the result that you want? No. It's going to be the result aligned with God's will. And let's look at David to understand this, okay? David slept with Bathsheba, and Nathan the prophet warned David, like, your son is going to die. This is the consequence for your actions. And David, even though God told him that, right? Through faith, he fasted and prayed. He fasted and prayed. And then when his son died, he literally stopped, got up, and went to go worship God. Even though David didn't get his desired result or outcome, faith wasn't dead. Why? Because faith produced action in David. David fasted and prayed, and it testified to his knowledge of God. It also testified to his love for God and how God can be merciful and how God is just. Like, even when his son actually died, David's action testified to how God is still just. He got up, put on clothes, and went to go worship God. God, you're just. Even though I wanted this, you're still God. You're still good. Isn't that wonderful? It's important for us to understand too that as we go through life, everything happens. Every result is according to God's will and God's mercy and God being who he is. But faith always produces, as long as it's alive, it always produces actions. The results are always going to be according to God's will. I know, like, some of us, we go through hard times, people get sick. We are interceding for other people. And in the midst of us praying and having faith, it is important that we don't doubt. Be like David, be persistent. Like, with our faith, we must persevere, be persistent, have no doubts that God is who he is. He is merciful. Nothing's impossible with God. And at the same time, whatever results that come, God gets the glory. He is still God. He is just. His decision is just. He is still good. He still gets worship regardless of the results. But it's important that our faith, our actions testify to the goodness of God, testify to who God is. Just like David.